Mirta got a job at a family-run pig farm and secretly filmed the conditions there, all to get the attention of the cool animal rights activist Nasha. Impressed, Nasha welcomes Mirta into her cell and takes her on a nighttime raid to free the pigs. However, things don't go according to plan. The activists are forced to take the farm owner's sons, who woke up at an inopportune time, hostage. The sons, in turn, are utterly unimpressed by the activists' passionate speeches about veganism, and soon the first blood is shed. The mid-2000s in European cinema saw the formation of the so-called New French Extremity wave, primarily associated with France. It is generally considered to have started with Alexandre Aja's High Tension, followed by Them, Inside, Frontiers, Martyrs, and a number of lesser-known films. They were all characterized by brutality bordering on sadism, a thick atmosphere of hopelessness, sharp social commentary, and a kind of cold, bleak misanthropy. A conviction about the dark nature of humanity that was perhaps the most frightening aspect. The Dutch slasher Meat Kills is a direct heir to this wave, proudly receiving the Netherlands' first ever 18+ age rating. It has everything that defined the aforementioned films, and its premise grows from a relevant and entirely plausible modern-day situation, where uncompromising new ideals clash with even more uncompromising old ones. Alas, intransigence, even with the best intentions, can only end in a bloodbath. Screenwriter Paul de Vrijer and director Martijn Smits vividly introduce the opposing factions from the very first minutes. On one side is a family of blue-collar workers running a pig farm. They are rough-edged and conservative, indifferent to animal suffering, though slightly less so than to the feelings of the eco-activists, who, in their fervent fight for all things good, are not at all opposed to gathering all things bad and burying them in some dark woods. An attempt to intimidate one of the farm owner's sons, a rude oaf, backfires. An enraged Nasha loses her temper, and trouble is not far behind. The speed at which this situation escalates into violence is frightening, yet, unfortunately, seems very logical and inevitable. Apparently, the filmmaker's main message is that before we start caring for other species, it would be good for us to first learn to hear and understand our own kind. This is a very strong approach, which, unfortunately, stops developing at a certain point and immediately becomes predictable. By the climax, the characters seem to be acting on inertia, successively firing off all the Chekhov's guns the writers had hung on the walls during the first hour. Instead of subtle satire, an observational slasher of sorts, we get a straightforward and artless fable whose overarching moral, that violence begets violence, subsumes everything. Returning to Meat Kills as a horror film, it doesn't quite reach the extremity of the French slashers of the 2000s, but it compensates with the richness of its production and its general nihilism. Every time the characters have a chance to act humanely, they choose the path of violence. Physical or moral, it doesn't really matter. Smits and de Vrijer equate a direct punch to the face with accusations of not being good enough, and this resonates powerfully. Yes, there are no normal people in this film, and while you don't feel sorry for any of them individually, Meat Kills paradoxically makes you feel something. To empathize with the global loss of humanism and humanity as a species, and to ponder whether it's so important to leave our children a world with recycling bins if, in that world, two people cannot find common ground.